Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's special episode of I Never Knew podcast with Life Coach Maureen. I am so excited. I asked for volunteers to do a life coaching session on this episode. And one of my most favorite people in the whole world, one of my clients for about a year and a half now, literally raised his hand. He did a hand up emoji. And I was so excited because I think everybody can really get a feel for the rapport that develops during life coaching and how we get to really know each other and a friendship builds and there's a trust that is so important. So without further ado, my buddy John Collondrez is here today. Hi, John.
Hi, it is so good to see you and so good to hear you.
I'm just so happy you're here and
I'm
I've
so
missed you.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm happy to do this.
I'm so glad. Let's give them a little background. So tell us, kind of when you came to me, and I think it's been about a year and a half, maybe two. I don't even know.
Yeah, I think we're pushing close to 2 years now. Um,
Yes.
and I came to you um, as a personal performance improvement for myself. I was working on myself. I was going to a counselor. I've done the whole marriage counselor thing. I was going through a rocky divorce session, and I was looking for somebody to um, just direct me and guide me and give me help a little bit, see if something would work other than the counseling that I would normally do. Um, Looked you up, studied a lot about you, and then I reached out to you. And from there, we hit the ground running. Um, we went through that long, dark, treacherous trench and hole together and worked myself out of there. And I am proud to say that I am a direct product of your hard work and dedication to me.
Oh, I love it. You did all the hard work. I just was fortunate enough to be on the journey, and that's how I look at every coaching client is, when you share your life, you give me all that vulnerability and trust. It matters. It's a big deal. And I think anyone looking for a life coach, you have to have the right fit. There's tons of life coaches out there and tons of counselors, and you got to find that right fit. And what I love that you said is that I researched you, Maureen. He means stalking, but he said research. No, I'm just kidding. He did his homework, and we do our initial call, and I just say, hey, what kind of things are you looking for? And we just kind of talk about what's going on in your life on that discovery call. So it was you know it's amazing. We were just talking a little bit off air where you reach a point in your life where you're just so tired of everything that's going on and you're ready for this big move, this big, like, something has to give, and you're looking for a lifeline. And I like to think I'm throwing you that safety floaty thingy, the safety donut. So yeah, when John and I first started coaching, and this is the interesting thing that I think every coaching client thinks, I'm going to go to a life coach because I'm going through a divorce and I'm having a hard time and I need help with this divorce thing. But I think John can tell you it isn't just about this one issue. It's called life coaching because we tackled everything in his life. And what surprised you the most when we first started coaching that helped you maybe understand yourself better and what you're going through?
I think it came down to you at first. Um, you were direct to the point. You were like a friend. You weren't afraid to call me out on my BS. You could tell if I was had a story or something was wrong. We would get on, and during this is the time and age of Zoom. We would get on our Zoom call, and you would immediately call me out and go, "What is wrong? What is going on? This is not the John that I'm used to seeing at the end of our sessions. What happened between this week and last week?" And you would call me out. And you would get me, it wasn't anything sugar coated. You would get direct to the point and at what was affecting my life currently. And it could be a variety of things. I mean, it could be my past and my career. It could be the struggles that I had in my current career. It could be the struggles in a relationship. You called it as you saw it that day. And that's what helped keep me pushing, because no matter how crappy I was feeling at the start of the meeting, by the end of our session, I was ready to go and tackle the world again. You had me pumped up. I was ready to go.
Yes, yes, and I could. So I feel your energy, guys, and John can tell you he didn't even have to speak a word. We would get on, and I would see his face, and I would be like, "Uh oh, we're low energy today. What's going on? Something happened." I would know, or I'd see a big giant smile, and I'd be like, "Yes, we're good today. What's going on? Tell me what's good, John." And he didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. There were sessions where it was just, yeah, Maureen, all this crap keeps piling on, and you say that I can do this, you say I can change this, you say this is going to happen, and I just kept pushing and saying, you're going to be a different person in a year, John. And it's really building that belief in yourself, because sometimes we go through life and no one believes in us. No one says, you are amazing and you can do this. And we think it's such a simple thing. One of the things that we worked on that I think is my favorite thing that I do in coaching is uncovering our false beliefs. Things that are down deep in those subconscious areas that we had no idea. Tell me what you think, how effective figuring out really who you were deep down inside with false belief was.
My false belief was, I mean, it was the key to my negativity. I had something negative about every little thing, and I could never focus on my true beliefs on what the positives were coming out of the things. So it was, when I'm like, one of my key ones is that we went through is, when I'm under stress, I will slow things down and I will calculate how to fix the issue, and my thing, and a big thing of mine was that we worked on was the things that I can control compared to the things that I can't control. And I was so flexed on the negativity that was coming out of the things that I couldn't control that you had to refocus me. And say, you can't control these things. You can't control whether it rains or whether it's sunshine. You can't control those things. So don't get upset. Yeah. And don't let it affect yourself with the things that you can't control. So you got me to change my process and my thought process. I mean, as the saying goes, how do you look at a glass? Is it half full or half empty? Well, I was looking at it half empty most of my life. And you redirected it. And now I look at things as half full and things that I can work on and improve on. And that's, we worked a lot of time on that.
Yeah. And it's hard. So I'm going to tell a little bit of your story here. So when we worked on, uncovering John's false beliefs, a lot of it came from his childhood that he didn't have any idea. So John is very much a perfectionist, and John, from basically his interaction with his family growing up, he always felt he had something to prove. He wanted to be better than his father. He wanted to be different. And he has two beautiful little girls. And John was extra, extra hard on himself. And to me, it was really important for him to pull back and start seeing the good things that he's done in his life, because all he could do was just focus on, look at all the bad things I did. I wasn't great in my marriage. I didn't do good. Something happened in my career that, made my career end that I really loved, and it was unfair. And now I'm struggling in this, trying to co-parent with someone who doesn't want to co-parent, who creates false information about me. And his ex-wife, does an order of protection, which was completely unjustified. And I'm struggling with the Arizona legal system myself, and it's not fair. Sometimes these legal things that come up, it's hard to prove, and it literally is just one person, one judge saying this is true or this is false without knowing everything. And so I remember, and John was going through literally, and this is really good, listeners, because John had a breakdown at one point. He had a panic attack, a literal panic attack. He thought he was having a heart attack, and they had to call the ambulance. And what touched me was he called me. And I was so touched because that's how important it is to me with, I say clients, but they're friends. They're all friends, that I am available. I've always told John, your problems don't have a schedule. So you reach out to me whenever you need me. And he made his way through that. He made his way through the panic attacks. And that's a big thing. Everybody, if you've ever had an extreme panic attack, when you just feel like the world is crushing you down, tell us how you got through that was the darkest time, I think, in your life.
Yeah, between the incident with me reaching out in the internal issue, when I first moved out here, I think with me, with the cry out for help, um, the help that I got was doing good, but it wasn't fixing me. It wasn't making me a better person. It was just teaching me to cope, and not cope with getting through it. Just cope, just to deal with the cope, just to deal with the losses and take it, and not improve off of it. Where I'm glad I had you at the time when I had this breakdown, again, because it is hard. And as they say, at your worst moments, there's always going to be your true friends who will be there to answer your call. And Maureen you were one of those lifelines. You were one of those lifelines. And I basically was in a ball of mess. And I was like, I don't know what else I can do. I'm losing it. I don't have any positivity in my person right now, but I need to start to control this and get this coping, being able to cope with improvement and being able to get through everything. Um, and that's where you came in, and that, along with my support, with my very close friends and my lifelines that I have here in Arizona, um, it relied on you and a team of people. It definitely works to have a team of people that you can absolutely rely on, life or death, to be there for you.
Yeah.
And the work that we did, you were able to refocus me and say, remember some of the things that we've been working on. And then we literally started from scratch again from that point. We took 5 steps forward, but then we took 10 steps back, and then we had to start back from square one. And we rebuilt again. And you were there. You were like, I'm here for you no matter what. You call me whenever you need me. And this is what it's all about. And it is a process. And you told me it's a process. It's a long process. And it's not going to be like snapping your fingers and making that magic phone call, and after 5 minutes or 5 days with you, things are going to be hunky-dory and fine and dandy. No, it's a process. And you have to make your new lifestyle a habit before
Yes.
you create your life, before you create your new life. We always have said, this is my new life. You'll know when things hit, and things will just come to you now. And that's where we're at now. And it was just a long, hard process, but it was rough. It was rough.
And so worth it. And guys, I want to note he was also seeing a psychiatrist, and I am not opposed to when you need some medication to get you through. When you're at a point, obviously life coaching is talk therapy. I don't have the ability to prescribe. So when you have a psychiatrist that can prescribe things that can get you through that while we work together, and then you can eventually say, I don't need the medication, we hope, because I've learned these skills in conjunction with my life coach, and I love that. And the thing is, guys, John did the work. If you're not committed to it, and I would say that to John all the time, you have to be as committed to this as I am, and you have to be committed to wanting the change. And he made such a good point where, yeah, we might say in these sessions, you might get to session 12, and then all of a sudden something happens in your life and it's devastating, and then you go backwards. And we started talking, hey, that's the old John, don't go back to the old John, you're in the new John. And that kind of gives us a perspective of like, oh yeah, I'm going back into that cycle of insanity that didn't work for me, it didn't serve me, I got to get back to this new thought process. So in addition to helping him get through the divorce, for me the biggest thing is learning to love ourselves. And that's the biggest thing that I speak on. My TED Talk is going to be on, being your own best friend. And John was not his own best friend yet. And it was so apparent when he became his own best friend, because when he stopped caring about what other people thought, John became his own best friend. And the biggest thing I think that me and John worked on was practicing the pause. Practicing the pause, not being reactive, but responding, or even not responding to things that you don't have to. Because I've always said, no response is a response, John.
Yes,
John always was like, but I need to say this, but I'd tell you, and I'd say, is it going to get you anywhere when you do this? And he has so learned that sometimes no response is a response, and it got him, I think, and I'll let him explain, I think it got you further learning how to not respond versus reacting.
Oh, I love not responding nowadays. It's a lot of things.
I know.
I've learned to keep my mouth shut and not stir up any more problems than what it is. Sometimes, like you've said, sometimes people are looking for that reaction, and they live and they thrive off of that reaction. And you responding negative to them pushing your buttons is just feeding them, and they love it. I had, that person in my life that could push my buttons, and it would snap me. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I would be pissed, and it would set my whole day up, and it would affect me the whole day. And as soon as I finally started to be my friend and love myself again, I could really appreciate the non-answer and the non-response, because it just lifts your shoulders. It takes all the weight off your shoulders. We, like we said about control, we can't control certain things. We can't control other people and what they're going to say or what they're going to think or what they're going to react. So just don't feed into it. And that's the thing that I've learned a lot from you, because before you knew, I had an answer. I had a rebuttal, and I had an answer for everything. I'm going to come full bore at you, and I'm going to come heated, and then it's going to come down to bad decisions and bad emails and so forth and so on. So
Yes, John thought the louder and madder you are, the more people hear you. And he learned to be the wise old owl versus the tiger reaction. And it's really just that empowering yourself to take back that control. Because, there are people in our life, toxic people, that are always going to poke our buttons. They're going to poke the bear, and they want that reaction. And I would just say to John constantly, you're doing what she wants. You're getting the reaction she's looking for. And it backfires on us, even though we feel like, I want to be right. I want to be right. I want to stick it to her. But I've always said you can be right or you can be happy. And being happy is just pulling back. And what I've seen most in you, John, is your self-confidence. I mean, your self-confidence is like through the roof. So let's talk about how our business coaching evolved. So tell us.
That was a big step. That was a giant step in my life. So just a quick background. I have I have 15 years in law enforcement. Uh, Unfortunately, had to leave that position as a sergeant out from California and moved out here. I came to move out here basically to save my family and try to give it a shot. But at that time, I was broken. I thought something was wrong with me. I was so negative about everything. And I came here, went from job to job a little bit, got into the corporate world. And then it, I didn't have the positivity in myself. I didn't believe in myself to succeed. I didn't think that I would amount to anything. I didn't think that I can do things. I thought that I was going to be stuck in this corporate job for forever, and just doing the hustle and bustle of the 60-hour work week. But um, eventually time came to where I had an opportunity, and with as much of a curse that the COVID era is, it was a blessing to me because my divorce was going through. Um, I wouldn't be able to care for my kids working 50 to 60-hour work weeks. Um, Maureen and I we kind of fished and saw what between my background and what I really wanted to do and what my drive was. And we came up with the decision to, hey, let's see what it takes to be a private investigator in the state of Arizona. So it was amazing. It was, Lord, I think 5 months between start to finish from the thought process to me actually getting my certification for the state of Arizona as a licensed private investigator, all on my sole self. Created a company, had a website designed, going out and pounding the pavement, talking to attorneys and trying to get clients and, starting to market and everything like that. And this is something that I would not have ever thought that I could have done. I would have had some type of negativity involved, but you redeveloped me as a person to be able and capable to bring out the positivity. I mean, I was excited every week, I was excited to say what I did. This is what I did this week. I got this going. I got that going. This is what I'm going to do. And you would say, create your lists, create your priority list, what you have to do. And I mean, pretty soon it came from a list of like 40 items and we just knocked it down. And today it's, a year and a half since I've been active as a licensed private investigator. And, we're past that 1 year mark, but we're still coming out of the COVID era a little bit, but it's starting to get better. And this is something that I would have never been able to do. And it's given me a new life. I've been able to pay my bills, enjoy my life, but most importantly, enjoy my girls. I've been able to spend time with my girls, which is the main reason why I decided to do what I did. And you helped me focus on that and say that, this is all about you and the girls. This is about a better life, a new life, and you can do this. And we did. And here I stand as, a product of you pushing and your drive and our hard work together. And you never let me down. You always had input, and here I was sending you photos on what my headshot would be. And here's what I'm thinking of putting in the website. What do you think of this? And it was more than a life business coach. It was, like you say, we're friends and I could rely on you for a lot of things. And it's amazing how far I've come. It's just, I'm in awe every day on how far I've come.
Yes. Yes. it was, drilling down to, because when you've worked for people your whole life, you'd never see yourself being able to work for yourself. It just seems like this brass ring that's so far out there. And John and I both corporate, we were both, I was working in the corporate world while I was running the life coaching business.
And it's
And
scary. It's scary to think that
yeah,
it's all me. That's a scary feeling. And,
it
and
is.
we had a lot of stress doing what we did. There was
But
a lot of
there,
stress involved. It's not easy.
it is not. It is not, but it's so worth it when you're in your passion. And that's the thing is I would rather any hard day in entrepreneurship is better than the best day in corporate. I'll say it all day long when you're doing what you love. And that's really what it was we honed in on what is John passionate about? What is John knowledgeable about? And what is your goal for yourself and your girls? And it was the freedom. You can't put a price on freedom. And John will tell you the one thing about me as a life coach is accountability. Like, yeah, I do this recap after our sessions. I email you and I give you what you're doing really well. And then I have goals. And so the next week I'll say, okay, did you meet this? Did you meet this? And a lot of times John will be like, nah, didn't do that. Nah, didn't do that. Nah, sorry. Yeah, I just wasn't feeling it. And, and I'm like, that's cool. It's going on next week though. It's like, it's not going
It's not
away.
going away. It's not going away.
Yep. And I made him, I was like, you're going to go out and pound the pavement and you're going to go talk to every single paralegal and attorney in your, 5-10 mile radius. And the end game is, man, John is just a different person. On top of that, after you go out of a divorce, your self-esteem is just so low, and he would beat himself up often about the failure of the marriage, and he would see it as his fault, and he carried this guilt and this shame. And that was a really big thing in our life coaching that I had to let him let go so that he didn't carry that into his next relationship, which I'm super happy to say he is in a happy new relationship. And I saw it. It's the weirdest thing. It's almost like I can see the future because I saw the John in front of me as a PI in a brand new relationship, getting to spend time with his friends and his girls, and here you are right in front of me just glowing. I saw that a year and a half ago, but it's hard for us to see that for ourselves.
It's definitely hard. And the road that I went, and like you said, I blamed everything on myself. I blamed my career on myself. I blamed my marriage on myself. It was all my fault. It was all me. I'm the person, I'm the root cause. And it was hard to turn that around and get the positivity that, hey, and look at things that, hey, it's not just me. It's a two-way road. It's a, it was a team, and it's a team, and that the two people didn't work it out. They couldn't figure it out, or they lost communication. And with my career, it was just the sign of the times. It's just, it was just the way that things happened. And unfortunately, things do happen that way. But you have to learn to not live that life of it's all my fault and I'm all to blame, because it's not all your fault.
And you went through, they say the hardest things are losing a job, losing, divorcing, and moving. And you literally went through all three of them all at one time.
Yeah.
All at one time. And then, guys, let me tell you this, listeners. On top of everything else, my buddy John got COVID and ends up in the hospital by himself. I mean, it was it was devastating. I couldn't go visit him. Financially, he's going through this divorce. He loses his job. And I mean, my heart was just breaking, and he made it through. He made it through even that COVID while going through all of this other stuff. I mean, it shows you how strong of mind you are, John. And when you finally believe in yourself, that's when you can say, I'm a lot stronger than I ever believed I could be until I had to be.
I was thinking that right as I agreed to sit down with you, it was basically, you don't know how strong you are until you actually are put to the test. And a lot of things could have ended me. And I somehow I was not ready. My lowest of the low, with attempting what I did, to moving out here, to going through the divorce, to getting COVID, and basically being close to whatever it was going to happen. It never did happen. It never did happen. And I was always redirected, and then worked on my well-being and focused on the positives. And you said it one time, it's amazing how now you can bring up a negative, but then you turn it right around, you're talking about a positive, you know, and then it's just amazing. The road that I've been through and the story that I can tell is just enormous. You don't expect anybody to have to go through this in a lifetime. And I'm, our age, we're not young birds, we're not old, but, we've been through a lot. And you don't think that a human can actually be put through that, but you're meant to do something. And I firmly believe now everybody is meant to do something. If you're not happy in your situation, then you need to change it. And that's what we worked on. I wasn't happy in my situation. An opportunity came up, and we together as a team jumped on it.
Yeah. And it's that semicolon, it's your life is just a semicolon. When you're in a situation or a phase of your life that's really bleak, it's just a semicolon. You have more to do. You got to finish the sentence. And I believe, and I know a lot of people don't believe this, but you've asked for this. You have a purpose in this physical life. You asked for the growth. You may not have asked for the specific situations that we get into. And I know John wanted to reach through the screen many a time when I said, you're going to be grateful for this one day, I promise you. And in his, some of his darkest moments, he's like, yeah, I want to be a motivational speaker. And I'm like, whoa, doggy, we got to wait. We got to get you past all this to the gratitude to be the motivational speaker. But I love that your heart was always there, and you are correct. We all have a purpose. It's finding the purpose, and it's remembering the purpose, and always, always remembering that everything is temporary. Every problem is temporary, even when it seems so permanent. And
Yes.
so we need to find temporary solutions to temporary problems, not permanent solutions to temporary problems.
Correct. And that was the issue that I was having. Um, and it was just compiling. And it's not, and I realized early on that there's a lot of things out there and a lot of people out there that could use help. And that's why I was like, I've always had a passion to help people. I've always been a helper. I've always been there for somebody. So it's just, if I can, I saw through that little light at the tunnel, at the very far end of the tunnel, that my life also has a purpose. Instead of, just helping people with investigations and process serving and so forth and so on with what I do. I'm not afraid to tell my story. There's not many people that can say, I basically lived through a possible life or death situation. I've lived through a sickness, life and death situation. I've been through a rocky divorce, and I'm still going. And there's a lot of people out there that need help, don't know where to start.
Yes.
And it's just, there's something that I can do, and something that I can help with guidance. I may not be able to shine the light on you and let you be happy and loving and everything else, but I can at least share my story and direct you into the right way, because I think now I know now what can work and what doesn't work, because I've been through the doesn't work, I've been through the can work, and I've been through the absolutely does work methods.
Yeah. And you know the thing about being a helper, of course you're a helper. You came here, you know your career was to protect and serve. I mean, you're the person that serves, and that's why we are definitely you know connected in our purposes, and why we have a soul connection. And you know, it's what's really cool about it is, and I've said this to you many times, there's no competition with anyone in this life, because what I bring is different than what somebody else is going to bring. There's no way to sit there and compare John, the motivational speaker, to Maureen, the motivational speaker. We're different. We come from different perspectives and different experiences. So when I help someone, I'm going to connect on a different level in a different way. And you're going to connect with different people on their level and in their way. So that's the cool thing, is we just all need to just help each other, and we'll find each other. I think that's
Correct.
really what it is. And
Yeah.
being willing to tell the story, and having all the mental health awareness now, I just, I'm so thrilled with it. And I'm hoping that, you know, and I said this in a couple of podcasts, you know, they need to embrace life coaching more, you know, not, especially the government, like cost wise, make it more affordable. You know, I mean,
Correct.
it's unfair that, you know, if we are not, um, you know, controlled, so to speak, by their rules and their licensing, that you know we do things out of the box. What did I
Yeah.
do? What was something I suggested to you? And I know there was quite a few. And I would say to you, you're gonna think I'm crazy, John. But what did I ever suggest, if you can remember, that was like weird and out of the norm, and you were like, oh my God, what, Maureen? Why do I have to do that? And yet it worked for you.
Oh Lord. Um,
I know, totally putting you on the spot to go back
yeah,
and
it is. I mean, there would be, you would give me homework, and, and I'd have to sit there and draw or do something with a diagram, or, um, a good one was when you sent me to do the circle of control,
yeah,
and what you can control, put inside; what you can't control, put outside. But then what you can't control, why, you want to put the reasons why you can't control that, and just to basically fine tune me. And it's
yeah,
like, oh, I we've already figured out that I can't control this, and I can't control this. Why do I have? But to visually see it, it's different. People learn different. People learn differently. People can learn verbally. People learn with papers in front of them. I am one of those visual learners, and writing things down and learning things through visually seeing it really helps me. And with you, even though I'm like, oh my Lord, here we go. it works. It works. And it's still something that I have on my wall to this day, right here. It's just my circle of control. I will focus on what I can control. It's just something that has stuck with me, even though I've found it weird or awkward at that time. But
yeah,
that was a lot of the things that you wanted to do. You wanted to make me uncomfortable and get me out of that comfort zone, because that comfort zone for me was filled with a lot of negativity as well. So, and then I think once you said it one day, you can just see that I'm a different person, and that I'm basically completely different than what our first month was, because
oh,
it's like you say, my shoulders are up, I'm talkative. Before, I would just, like, you'd have to get it out of me.
it,
I was in a shell. I was just beat down, and just
yeah,
was a little shell, and you had to break the shell and pull me out, and kind of say, hey, look at the sunshine is shining here today,
hundred
let's work on
percent.
that. Yeah.
I see who you really are. I see who I knew you really were, and now you see who you really are. And it's like almost like unzipping, a Halloween costume and taking that off and like, oh my gosh, freedom. I'm out of this heaviness of what I was. And I'm doing something new with my clients, and John and I haven't coached for a while, but I'm doing now personality tests, and it's so interesting to figure out what type of personalities we are, so we can work on the weaknesses and strengths that we have in those personalities and where it applies in every area of our life. When it came to John, if you think about it, when you're in law enforcement, everything is about procedure. I mean, follow procedure to a T, rules and memorizing the statutes, and that's a lot. So for John in life, when he didn't have per se, we'll call life statutes or life procedures, John, his personality is I feel out of control when I don't have organization and I don't have a routine. And, like I said, John, the amazingness is that you not only went through these things, you went through them all at once. And so you're in this tornado. And I remember being in your shoes back when I was going through the divorce and all the mess that I was going through. And I remember just saying, I'm in a tornado and I just want to be spit out. Because if I land on the ground, at least I know I can, start from there. But when you're in this tornado consistently, it gets heavy and you get dizzy and you feel overwhelmed. And so for you, understanding personality, and that's something I value in my clients, is I don't listen to just what you say. I listen to who you are, and I can get a feel for who you are.
And you saw that right away. And that's why I liked you, and that's why I stuck with you, because you could see the true me. And that's consistent with who I have in my life nowadays, and the people that are around me, and the people that I love and care about. It's the people that see the true me. They don't care about the past. They don't care about the future. They don't care about what I did wrong, what I did right. They look at me, at the person that I am now, and the drive that I have. And you saw that right off the bat, and you were just like, it's almost like you chomping at the bit. You're like, you can do it. I know it's there. I can see it. We're getting there, closer and closer. Keep going. And it's a long road, but you saw it. You saw me for who I could really be, and you saw that I'm a dedicated person. I'm a hard worker. I do that because you of anybody else would have known that, what I went through and everything else, and then COVID and money situations and stuff like that. Hey, let's start a business. Only you would have been able to see that I would have been able to handle that, because I didn't even think that I could handle that at the time. I'm like, oh my Lord, here I am risking everything.
Yep. And gaining everything in the process.
I gained so much more. I mean, I gained a new life, and it's just,
You created a new life. And that was my job, was to let you see what I saw. And once you saw the amazingness that you are, then you attracted people around you that saw it too. So there was no accident. And this is something that's so important, listeners, is what did I always say to John? I said, you cannot outperform your self-image. So you can't, if you see yourself as smaller, you're only going to perform to that smaller level. And I would say to John, you cannot outperform your self-image, because if you think you can't do it, then you're right, you can't do it. And I remember money being so tight. I mean, between losing his job and health and, bills and a divorce, which is costly. I mean, so many things coming down on him. I remember him wanting to take his test, and it was like $200. And I said, John, you spend $200 on fast food. You can take that money and you can spend that on yourself. And I said, you'll find the money. I promise you'll find the money. And he did. And he would say, I don't know how I did it, Maureen, but it just came because you believed that it would come. You believed this is what you needed to do, and you made it happen. So you created it. You created this life for yourself. A year and a half ago, if I said, John, you can create this amazing life. You're going to have a new business, a new relationship. You're going to be past your marriage, all the pain. You're going to be so self-confident and have all this time with your girls. He would have said, Maureen, you're out of your mind, crazy. And I would say, right? And I would say,
Without
I,
a
I see it. I already see it, but go ahead, call me crazy because they all do. But yet, here we are.
it's amazing. It's just, and we were talking before we got on about your past guests and that I've caught up and I've had connection with all of your guests at some point in their lives. And we're all at different stages. And to your newer listeners that don't know about life coaching or have been through ups and downs and so forth and so on, and have been through counseling and therapy session, it's not, life coaching is not about changing your brain or your thoughts. It's changing how you view things. And for me, I think how you can best picture it is if I was on a railroad track and I was at a dead end or just hitting a wall, couldn't get past that wall. What Maureen did for me was she just basically picked me up by the shoulders and said, look at this track on this side and look at how far you can look ahead. So instead of me looking at the short end of running into the wall the whole time, you were able to take the blinders off me, open up my horizon, and just redirect me, but bring out that thought process to where it can affect me positive instead of the thought process of making things negative.
Yeah, learning how to reframe. When we worked on your false beliefs, I made you, that's part of the exercises. I made you think of these old false beliefs in a new way. Okay, what's your new belief? If you believe, in shame and guilt and this is this, what's your new belief going to be? And I think that's the start of everything is, okay, I have to start looking at things a different way. And I love that analogy. She put me on a different track. That's it. The track was there all along. I just had to be turned around and put on the different track.
And it's hard work. I mean, I'm a very prideful guy, but I can't count the number of days where I've cried on the screen with you,
Yeah.
where I'm just like, I just can't hold it in anymore. And it's frustrating. And especially going through the false beliefs, it's just in dealing with some of the past in my life. It's just, it brought up a lot of bad memories, but you have to think of them as stepping stones to the person where you're at now. I'm more cautious with what I get into because of my past. And with the relationship thing, it had to be the right thing in the right time, and there wasn't going to be anything that was going to be taking me away from my time with my girls. And it's a long road, but it's a process. But it's a great road.
Yeah. Do you think life coaching made you a better dad?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think, the things that I can't control, kids will be kids. You can't get mad because they spilt a drink on the table. I mean, you can say, darn it, or use whatever word that you say that, you have to, just because you have to get up and clean it. But it's a learning process. Life is a learning process. They're learning as well. They're learning about how life goes and, how eating properly at a dinner table is and how not to play around at the dinner table and stuff like that. And you can yell all you want till you're blue in the face. It's not going to matter. They're still going to love you no matter what you do. But for me, it makes me feel much, much more of a fuller person if I just communicate more with my kids and being able to learn things through our work has made me a better communicator for my kids. And
Yes.
I think they love me more. They love me more now, I think, than they did 4 or 5 years ago. It's hard to say that kids don't love you, but
No, you're
it's a
right.
different
Actually, I think
it's
it's
a
more
different
of
feeling.
I think it's more of a respect. They'll always love you, but I think they respect you more because what you learned was control over your emotions and your outbursts and your immediate reactions in anger and
Without a doubt.
practicing that pause. You were more thoughtful of how you reacted to them. Also, think about what you showed them by example, because kids learn 0 to 6, most formidable years. Even if it wasn't said, they watch dad get up off the ground and find himself and make something of himself and be a happier man and seek help and take care of himself. Listeners, you don't know this, but many times when he had the girls and we were life coaching, one of his little baby munchkins would be sitting there on his lap, or they'd come up and say hi. So it was no secret that dad was doing something for himself. And that builds this trust and respect from your girls, and it made you a better dad because there's more. They're not going to love you more or less. They're always going to love their dad, but what they're going to do is look forward when they're in relationships. And that was something we talked about. Being a good dad means setting this example for the kind of man they want to choose when they're older. And so if you
Yeah.
look at yourself and the way that you behave, I would say, is that how you want a man to behave that your daughters will be with? That's an eye opener. That's one of those accountability things where I'd say, is that how you would want your daughter's husband to act? Boy, that'll stop us in our tracks, won't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Without a doubt. And it does become respect and appreciation, because they have seen me in bad times, and they know they're not they're not dumb. They're not immune to feelings or seeing you. I was often told sometimes that, we heard you cry last night, you know, after they go to sleep, and then one of them pops up or whatever, and they just, and I'd be maybe talking to a close friend and saying a couple things and then starting to tear up. But they've seen that. They've seen my breakdown with anxiety, and with the panic attack.
Yeah.
And they've even seen me sick with the COVID, and saw me, and I battled through for them. And we're at it, even though they're still young, we're at a time where I tell them, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am going to tell you how I feel, and there was a day just the other day, and I told my oldest, I'm like, you know what? I'm all disappointed in the way that you acted, and the way that you reacted to something. And she's like, well, what? And I go, well, let's get home and then we'll talk about it. We talked about it, hugged it out, and that was it. It was done. And then we have an understanding with what she's expected, what I'm expecting of her, and what she is expected of. So
Yes. Yes.
has
No,
definitely made me a
no
better.
outbursts, no anger, just let's get it out. And in this, I'm so thrilled to see men saying it's okay to be expressive, it's okay to be honest, it's okay to cry. You're teaching them that men can be emotional. And for so many years we've said men can't show emotion. Well, guess what? You're going to be emotional, but if you stifle that down there, push that down, repress that, it's going to come out. And what does it come out in? Anger. It comes out in those negative ways. So you taught them, when they meet someone, when they start dating, they're going to look for a man like their dad, who is understanding, who is patient, who communicates, who talks about feelings. Perfection. That's what you want, right? Because that's what you're giving them the example. Yet the upbringings that some of us have had as men are, don't be a sissy, don't cry, don't show those feelings. Men don't do that. Man up. I mean, all of that
Without a doubt.
nonsense,
Without
right?
a doubt. And I had it doubly because I was a police officer
Yes.
and a male. So it
Yes.
was, as officers, we never show our emotion. Never.
Yes.
We
Yes.
we see death. We're just supposed to deal with it. We see people in their worst times. We're just supposed to deal with it. So emotionally, I was an emotional wreck as a just as a human being. I was an emotional wreck. Didn't show it, didn't have it, didn't care about it, didn't care about anybody else's feelings. It didn't matter. And the work that I did with therapy, counseling, and life coaching, it, I had to bring back the emotion in my life.
Yeah.
I had to redevelop how to feel again. And it's okay to cry, and it's okay to reach out. It's okay. I never asked anybody for help. I never did. I always kept everything in. And I've learned through this process that it's okay to reach out for help. It's okay to ask for assistance, because there's plenty of people out there that are willing to help you. Plenty.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to ask. And that was my thing. I held things in for so long that I just didn't ask. And I almost messed up this whole life that I am living now, because I just wanted to keep to myself and not share myself with anything. So
Yeah.
I've come a long way.
You have, my friend. Well, as we wrap up, as you know, at the end of my podcast, I always have to do the questions.
Oh boy.
So, what is it that you never knew that you know now in regards to reaching out and getting life coaching, as well as all that you had gone through for yourself? What do you know now?
I am a much stronger person than I thought that I ever was, and that I thought that I could ever be. And it's bringing back my personality of what I had as a younger person, um, and realizing that, shoot, I'm actually a pretty funny person. It's hard to say, hard to see it, but I am. And I do have a great personality, and I am enjoyable. And I, it's all because of the strength that I thought that I didn't have. I didn't think that I was as strong as I thought I was, or really am. And you've brought that out in me to just show myself. I'm not afraid to say the truth. I don't hide anything. And I really don't, it really doesn't matter anymore.
I love it. Look at you, Pikachu, Mr. Confidence. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm so proud. I feel like a proud mom. Oh my God, it's just amazing. I love it. So, what is your message to the world? What would you put on a banner marching downtown with 100,000 people? What do you want to tell the world?
Boy. Well, I really, even though we were just talking about emotion, I will not react without emotion is my flag. Reaction with no emotion. Um, I think there are snap decisions that are made. And we went through it through our sessions that, with the wrong emotion going through your head and not thinking clearly on things, you could make a bad decision. You could choose the wrong road. So I think reacting with emotion is, not react without emotion is the key. Give yourself time to process it. Think about things like you brought up, respond, write an email in response, just don't send it. And then 2 or 3 days, go back and read it and see if that's what you're thinking now. And it wouldn't be. I would be thinking completely different.
Yes. Yes. That was a good method for you. That was a really good, because you needed to get it out. There's no way for me to say, John, just don't react. Just go off to the corner and go watch TV. No, that's not how that works. So I would say to you, go work out, go for a run, go, do something, go work on the car, go, it's got to get out. But we want it to be in a positive way. We want it to be in a constructive way. And I would say to you, if it's not constructive, don't do that. And so That's a great, I'm glad that you brought that up for others is, you know what? Write it down, write an email, record it, whatever you want to do. Just don't send it. And then, yeah, go back and reevaluate and be like, oh, wow, I was really kind of elevated in emotion 3 days ago. And now I'm like, whatever. It's not worth
Yeah.
it.
And
Yeah.
it kind of puts you through that process of self-education.
Yes.
It's like, oh, good Lord, I was really that. I was going to say that. I was going to send that.
Yeah. Amazing how irrational we can,
Good thing I didn't.
I
Good thing I
know.
didn't send those emails.
I know we don't even see ourselves. So, one of the things that John had a hard time with that I would always make him accountable for was self care. Because John did not, he always felt like it was selfish to take care of himself. And I would say, if you don't take care of you, you can't take care of those girls. So I'm going to hope and pray that when I ask this question, he's much better. What are you doing for your shameless self indulgence and self care now, Mr. John?
Well, I mean, the question is, what is your self-indulgence? Well, I mean, it's not self-care. Well, I do self-care, but my
Your
indulgence,
shameless self indulgence.
yes,
Look at
yes, that
he did his homework. He did listen to podcasts. See, that was a trick question to see if
I
you really did listen.
I'm a sucker for ice cream. Anywhere, any kind. I don't, you know, go to Sonic, go to the ice cream store down the street, go to Thrifty. It doesn't matter. Ice cream is ice cream. If you got something with caramel on it, just take my
Oh.
money out of my pocket.
Oh, does gelato count?
Gelato is phenomenal.
Oh, I have a little
Gelato.
Italian gelato store that I can literally walk to right here in my neighborhood. And
Well,
now
see,
I see, and
I'm
I
not
can't.
within walking distance of any ice cream store, so I need to make sure that I live in an area that if I am going to go get ice cream, I'll at least walk there to walk it off and then walk back.
See,
So,
that's how I saw it too. That's exactly how I see it. I don't feel as bad. And it's weird since I eat gelato, like ice cream just doesn't taste as good. So, and
no,
I
no, you opened up Pandora's box there.
right, it's just not the same. The old blue bunny, not comparing. And this is a family-owned Italian gelato
Oh, so
store.
it's old school. Yeah,
Yes, with a
yeah.
little Italian deli next to it too. So they know
That's
what they're doing. They
I'm
make
gonna
it.
have to figure out where that place is. I'll have to put it on my list.
Yes, just look me up. We'll go have some ice cream. But John, I just miss you and I'm so happy that we could talk today and I thank you for being so open and willing to tell your story to help others and I think it's going to be so beneficial because I could speak all day long on life coaching, but hearing it from someone who has really, really done the whole process from start to finish and someone who went through a lot of traumatic stuff in the last year and a half, and to be sitting on this side and say to everybody, trust me on this, it is worth it, and you can do it if you put the work in. So I can't thank you enough, my friend.
No problem at all. It's uh, I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for having you in my life as a friend. Um, and I owe a lot to you. It's just great to be able to help you out here and be able to help out other people um, through this forum and through the podcast. And hopefully, if somebody has questions or whatnot, you can always reach out to me, or if somebody wants me to come out and share my story with anybody, it's I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to tell my story and be
Yeah.
able to show how far I've come as a person.
Well, it's a mutually beneficial blessing that you've been in my life too, and this is a lifelong friendship. And I want to plug your business, and I want to plug your process serving. So let's give everybody where they can contact you and what kind of services you offer.
All right. Well, it's JJ Investigations. Our website is jjinvestigationsaz.com. And we do all investigation services and process service in the state of Arizona. I'm a certified licensed investigator and a certified process server for the state. I handle process serving from start to finish. All you do is hand me the paperwork, and I take it from there and make sure that you are a little bit easier on the stress. Um, and then investigations, I do everything from marital to financial, pre-employment, criminal, um, everything and anything. Uh, I if I can't do it, I have sources that can. So I'm one of those that if I'm unable to do it, I will either resource out or I will point you in the direction of where you need to go. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in here. I'm in business to help people and make their stresses a little bit easier. You know. Um,
I'll tell you
so
what, guys, he is the absolute best process server in the entire world, and he goes above and beyond because I don't know if you've ever had experience with process serving, but sometimes they'll try, knock on a door, oh, the person's not there, and they give up. And John will go above and beyond. I have my own personal experience, so I know that he does that, and it's kind of cool having a PI that's a process server because he does his own little investigation as well. That was really cool, very beneficial. But yeah, guys, jjinvestigationsaz.com. He is licensed in Arizona, so all my Arizona peeps that are listening, anything that you need as far as the investigations, as far as process serving, call John because he has integrity and he's always going to work 110% for his clients. Because
you'll
I
have, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
just because I know what kind of person he is what I was going to say. So I can guarantee this. I'll back him.
They'll be able to contact me online. Google has me as well. Online has my phone number. It has my email address, which is it's John James at jjinvestigationsaz.com.
Perfect.
And then my phone number is there. And it's a private investigation business. So it's 24/7. If I'm available, my phone will ring and I'll get it to you. And like Maureen says, I go above and beyond and I'm here for you. So I'm in full communication and, I'm here to help people. Can I also say one more thing?
Of course.
It's still September right now with us recording. But it's also Suicide Awareness Month. So just, if you know somebody that is having a hard time, there is help out there. They may not be wanting to talk to you. They might not be wanting to talk to a therapist. Point them in the right direction. There's people out there. There's more help out there than ever before in regards to self and mental health. And it's just mental health awareness. We just have to be a good friend, be a good family member. And if you know somebody on the brinks of something, give them my email address, give them my phone number. It doesn't matter. I'd rather help somebody out than lose a friend again. And
Yeah.
it's a tragic thing. And I do not want to ever have to go through that again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that and I agree. Reach out. Don't think that someone just wants attention and don't think that you're afraid to get involved. Just speak up. Just speak up. Just come to them and just say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm here. If you don't want to talk to me, I'll find someone." And for John to offer that, then that's amazing. It's something he's passionate about. So, alrighty, my friend, thank you so much. So, what he said was, if you wake up and you have a bad dream that your spouse is cheating, he said to call him at 3 a.m. Okay. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
And I'll probably answer. That's the silly thing.
No, it's dedication to your business. No, I love it. I'm kidding, guys. Do not call him at 3 a.m. Please, please. You might not. He might not answer, or he might, but he might not get all the details. He'll be half asleep. So, again, thank you, my friend. Good to see you, and I will talk to you soon. Mwah.
Thank you so much. Love you, dear.
Thank you, listeners, and please go do a 5-star review. And anything you need to reach out, lifecoachmaureen.com, and we will get all of the information on all of our guests to you. Comment and be a guest. Come and be a guest. Leave your information. And until next time, guys, have a good one.